noticed how some people, they can be super sharp and witty one minute, like just full of ideas, and then the next they're like surprisingly caring and in tune with your
Oh,
feelings?
yeah, definitely. It's like they've got this duality to them, right?
It's fascinating, isn't it? And what if it's more than just personality? What if it's like written in the stars?
Hmm. That's a really interesting thought,
Welcome to ASTRALX, illuminating your cosmic path.
where we explore how those cosmic energies might be shaping our experiences.
I'm Lunaria Selene, your intuitive guide.
I'm Solarian Zephyr, your cosmic strategist.
And we've got some really compelling material for you today. We're diving deep into a specific astrological profile.
We're looking at what it might mean for a man to be navigating the year 2025 with his sun in Gemini and his rising sign in Cancer.
It's a powerful combination, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Going through these sources, it's really clear that your sun sign, like in this case Gemini, it speaks to the core of who you are. Like it's your essence, those fundamental drives. Yeah, think of it like the you at your center.
Right, and then you have your rising sign, which is that energy you project outwards, that first impression. So for these guys, it's Cancer.
It's how people tend to see them when they first meet them.
And, especially for men, with all the societal expectations around masculinity, this interplay between that inner Gemini self and the outer Cancer presentation, that can create a really unique dynamic.
Makes you wonder, what does it mean for a man to be both, like, intellectually agile and emotionally open in today's world?
That's exactly what we're here to explore. Our mission for this deep dive is to illuminate that unique blueprint these Gemini Sun, Cancer rising men are working with in 2025.
Yeah, and hopefully offer some cosmic clarity as they navigate the year ahead.
So let's start with that Gemini Sun. If that's you, what does it actually mean to have that core energy at your center?
Well, if you have your sun in Gemini, you're probably someone who's driven by intellectual agility, a genuine thirst for knowledge.
You're the one with the busy mind, always making connections, soaking up information like a sponge.
Exactly. You're probably the person at a party who can just effortlessly float between conversations, picking up new ideas everywhere you go.
You're that person,
Mhm.
always curious, always learning. The sources we've been looking at, they highlight that Geminis are, typically quick-witted, outgoing, definitely inquisitive.
And charming, too, and adaptable, like incredibly adaptable.
Yeah, you make life interesting, that's for sure.
And a key influence on all of this is your ruling planet, Mercury.
Oh, Mercury, the planet of communication.
Yeah, and transportation and technology, all those things. And this often gives Gemini suns a natural talent with language, an ease in navigating all the complexities of how we communicate these days.
Yeah, they're the ones who can talk to anyone. You're probably really good with people, right?
You might be. Now, one of the most recognizable symbols for Gemini is the twins.
Ah, yes, the twins.
And it really speaks to that multifaceted nature that a lot of Geminis have.
So how does that duality actually manifest in your personality, if this is your sun sign?
Well, it can show up as having many different interests and being able to see things from, lots of different perspectives.
Which gives you this amazing ability to adapt to all kinds of situations and
Yep.
to change direction quickly.
Exactly. However, the sources also point out that this duality can sometimes make it hard to make decisions.
Hmm.
Or it can lead to you being perceived as flaky.
Yeah, I can see that. It's almost like you have so many fascinating things grabbing your attention that it's tough to stick to just one thing.
It's like that old saying.
I'm a Gemini, and my attention span is limited, so I don't dwell on long-term goals.
That's the one, is that very present moment focus that a lot of Geminis have.
I see. So how does all that Gemini energy play with having a Cancer rising?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. That Gemini love for variety and change can sometimes clash a bit with the Cancer rising's deep need for stability and security, a firm foundation.
Oh, I see. It's like an inner push and pull, right? Do I jump into that exciting new venture, or do I stay within my comfortable boundaries?
Exactly. And this can show up in your career choices, relationships, even the hobbies you choose.
So it's all about finding that balance, that unique way to be both the explorer and the one who needs a safe harbor.
Right.
Okay, so that gives us a good understanding of that core Gemini Sun energy.
Now let's delve into that Cancer rising. So you meet someone for the first time. What kind of impression do you think you make?
If you're a Cancer rising, I think you probably come across as nurturing, empathetic, and very sensitive.
And there's this this innate desire to take care of people.
You're the one who's always there for your friends, offering a shoulder to cry on or a listening ear, right?
You might be. It's like you create this welcoming, comforting energy just naturally.
I see. And all of that is influenced by the moon, right? Your ruling planet.
Exactly. The moon is all about emotions and intuition.
So it makes you incredibly tuned in to how other people are
You
feeling.
can just sense what they need
It's like, instinctively.
sometimes. And you're naturally empathetic, compassionate.
Now, some of the material we've been looking at mention that Cancer risings can be a little shy when you first meet them. But it sounds like that's just on the surface.
Yeah, it's like they're protecting this deep well of warmth and care underneath.
And of course, Cancer is also deeply connected to home and family. You're naturally protective of those you love.
That sense of security, it's paramount. Home is your sanctuary, and you probably take your role as caretaker and protector very seriously.
Loyalty is huge for you. Once you let someone in, that bond is for life.
That's true for a lot of Cancer risings.
We came across this quote, and it just perfectly captured that Cancerian energy. Home is where the heart can laugh without shyness. Home is where the heart's tears can dry at their own pace.
That's beautiful. Who said that?
Who is Vernon Baker?
Oh, yeah, Verna Baker. And this one from Helen Keller, it really spoke to me, too. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart.
That's so true and so fitting for Cancer rising, wouldn't you say?
It is.
Now, just like with the Gemini sun, there's a potential contrast here too, isn't there? That Cancer rising's focus on home and security versus the Gemini's pull towards, always exploring and experiencing new things.
Right.
How do you reconcile that tension?
Well, it can be an interesting dynamic. You might feel that pull between wanting to establish those deep roots, but also that simultaneous urge to, constantly explore and learn.
Right.
But a lot of people with this combination, they find really creative ways to bridge that gap. Maybe they make their home environment intellectually stimulating,
Right.
or they find stability within a lifestyle that involves, a variety of pursuits.
I like that. It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about your Gemini sun, the master communicator, and your Cancer rising, the emotional guardian. But how does this unique blend show up in, your masculinity? How do you express that?
Well, what's fascinating is that it creates a man who blends that sharp intellect with a genuine capacity for empathy.
It's like a beautiful combination, right?
It can be. You might express that nurturing side through thoughtful communication, maybe offering advice that's both logical and sensitive to the other person's feelings.
The sources actually said that men with this combo often come off as more caring, genuine, and supportive than aloof and flippant. Do you think that's accurate?
It could be, yeah. And it's particularly interesting when you think about traditional stereotypes of masculinity, which, often discourage men from being emotionally open.
Exactly. But in this case, your Gemini's natural ease with communication can actually help you articulate those deeper emotions, those Cancerian feelings.
You're almost breaking free from those stoic ideals.
Right. Because traditionally, men were told to kind of bottle up their emotions, right? But here, you have that Gemini gift of gab, which can become a healthy outlet for that Cancerian inner world.
And that leads to stronger, more meaningful connections.
One description we saw really stuck with me. It said, "A warm heart meets a clever mind." The Gemini sun, Cancer moon personality is benevolent and sincere. In their company, you can feel like this person has your back.
That's lovely. That blend of intellect and emotional support is something special.
It is, when you have someone who's not only intelligent but genuinely cares about your well-being. The material we've been looking at also mentioned this analyzing feeling dynamic.
Right, that desire for intellectual novelty within your emotional stability.
It sounds like you're constantly searching for that sweet spot between what excites your mind and what brings you that sense of comfort.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance. You approach situations with logic, that Gemini objectivity, but that Cancer rising makes sure empathy and those emotional considerations are never far behind.
So you're not just intelligent and articulate,
You're also deeply compassionate and understanding.
leading with both your head and your heart. Okay, so looking ahead to 2025, what kind of cosmic weather are you with this Gemini sun and Cancer rising going to experience? The sources outline a lot of planetary movement, that's for sure.
They do, yeah. 2025 is going to be a year of significant astrological activity, and there are some key influences that will be especially relevant for your combination.
All right, well, let's jump right in.
So one of the first major shifts is the lunar nodes entering Pisces and Virgo on January 11th.
Oh, okay.
Now, for you with that Cancer rising, Pisces is in your ninth house.
The ninth house is about beliefs, higher learning, right? Travel.
That's it. And Virgo occupies your third house.
Communication and your local environment. So how does that nodal shift affect those areas of life?
Well, it suggests a significant interplay between your core beliefs and how you communicate those beliefs, as well as what you're learning and sharing in your daily life.
Interesting. And for someone with the Gemini sun, how does this play out differently?
For your Gemini sun, this axis also touches on your philosophical outlook and your communication and learning processes. And the eclipses that happen along this axis throughout 2025, they're likely to bring unexpected events or turning points related to how you communicate, what you learn, and what you believe in.
So it's a year for really re-examining those perspectives?
It could be.
Wow, that already sounds like a lot to process. What else should we be aware of as we move through 2025?
Well, from March 1st to April 12th, we have Venus retrograde in Aries and Pisces.
Venus retrograde, always a fun time. What does that mean for our Cancer rising listeners?
For you with that Cancer rising, Aries is in your 10th house, which is all about career and public image, and Pisces is again in that 9th house of beliefs and long-term goals. So this might be a time when you're reevaluating your career ambitions, asking yourself if your current path aligns with your values.
Some soul searching about what really matters.
Exactly.
And for those with a Gemini sun, what flavor does this Venus retrograde bring?
For you, it might bring a focus on your relationships and finances. It's a time to look at what you value in those areas.
A time for introspection, both in your connections and in your material world.
That's right. Then we have Neptune entering Aries at the end of March.
Neptune in Aries. Okay. How does that affect things for our listeners?
For you, with the Cancer rising, Neptune in Aries is in your 10th house. This could bring in some idealistic career aspirations, maybe a stronger desire to do work that feels meaningful.
But also a need to stay grounded, right?
Yes. Don't get carried away by unrealistic expectations. Now, for those of you with a Gemini sun, this transit can influence your long-term vision, how you dream about your place in the world.
So think big, but keep it real. Then in late May, Saturn also moves into Aries, which sounds a bit more serious.
Saturn in Aries, it can be a grounding influence, yeah. For the Cancer rising folks, this is in your 10th house again. It might bring a need for discipline and structure in your career. You could face some challenges that require perseverance, a more methodical approach.
Building a solid foundation.
Exactly. And for our Gemini sun listeners, this could bring a heightened sense of responsibility towards your goals. You might need a more organized strategy.
But it's not all work and no play, right? What about Jupiter entering Cancer in June? That sounds like a good time.
It is. For anyone with a Cancer rising, this is a very positive transit. It lands in your first house of identity and self-expression.
So what kind of energy can we expect from that?
Expansion, luck, and opportunities related to your sense of self. You might feel more confident, more self-accepting.
That's fantastic. What about you with a Gemini sun?
For you, Jupiter will be in your second house of finances and self-worth. So this could bring opportunities for financial growth and, just feeling good about yourself and what you can achieve.
So a potential boost for both your self-esteem and your bank account.
You could say that.
And finally, we have Uranus, that planet of surprises, entering Gemini in July. What does that bring for our Gemini-Cancer combo?
Well, for you with a Cancer rising, Uranus in Gemini is in your 12th house of the subconscious. This might bring some unexpected insights, maybe a sudden awareness of old patterns, or a desire to break free from limiting beliefs.
I like that. And for our Gemini suns.
This is a big one. Uranus is moving right into your first house of core identity. So it's a time of potential change, innovation in how you express yourself, and a strong desire for freedom.
A time to break free from limitations, embrace those new parts of yourself.
Exactly.
Wow, okay. 2025 sounds like a huge year for anyone with this combination. So much is happening. With all these energies swirling around, what are some of the central themes or challenges that might pop up for our listeners?
As we mentioned before, that balance between the Gemini's need for freedom and the Cancer's need for security will likely be a big one. That internal conflict between wanting to explore and needing that stability of home and familiar connections.
It can be hard to reconcile those two.
It can. You might feel pulled in opposite directions, even experience some guilt, like when one need wins out over the other.
Yeah.
And then there's the emotional side of things. That contrast between the Cancer sensitivity and the Gemini's more intellectual approach.
So, like, processing emotions differently.
Exactly. You might find yourself struggling with how to really feel your emotions. The Gemini wants to analyze, but the Cancer needs to experience them on a deeper level.
Right, right. The sources also mention commitment and consistency as potential challenges.
Yeah, that Gemini love for variety can sometimes clash with the Cancer's longing for stability, especially in relationships and career.
So, long-term focus might require a bit more effort.
It might. You probably thrive best with partners and career paths that provide enough intellectual stimulation to keep that Gemini happy, but also enough emotional security to satisfy the Cancer.
Finding that sweet spot.
Exactly.
So on the outside, you might seem super adaptable, good with people,
Right.
but inside you're juggling all these contrasting desires.
Yeah, that's why self-awareness is so important. Really understanding and integrating these different parts of yourself.
Okay, so how do you navigate all of this? How do you step into your power, especially with all that's happening in 2025?
The first step is recognizing that your intellect and your emotions, they're not contradictions. They're complementary strengths.
They work together.
Yeah. Use that sharp mind to understand your emotions and let that empathy inform how you communicate.
It's about bringing those two sides together.
It is. And for our Cancer rising folks, prioritizing that stable, nurturing home environment is key.
And having those supportive, meaningful relationships.
Exactly. It gives you that anchor that you need to feel secure. Remember that quote? Home is where the heart can laugh without shyness. Home is where the heart's tears can dry at their own pace.
It's such a beautiful image.
It is.
So let's talk career. How can you use this unique combination to find a path that's fulfilling?
The sources suggested looking at careers that involve helping or connecting with others, using both your intellect and your empathy. Maybe counseling, teaching, writing, or even entrepreneurship.
Where you can use your understanding of people to build connections.
Exactly. It's about finding a path that engages your mind and your heart.
The material we've looked at also mentioned things like mindfulness and emotional regulation.
Those practices can be really helpful for navigating your Cancer rising sensitivity.
It's about creating more space for yourself.
And don't forget, those major astrological transits of 2025, they offer specific opportunities for growth.
Okay, tell us more about that.
So Saturn in Aries brings a chance to really focus on your career. Jupiter in Cancer and Uranus in Gemini are all about personal growth, your sense of self.
Right.
And those lunar nodes are pushing you to refine your beliefs and how you communicate them.
2025 is a year for leveling up.
You could say that.
The sources also talked about masculinity using different keywords and archetypes.
Where?
Can you explain how that applies to this Gemini sun, Cancer rising man?
Well, it's really about expanding our understanding of masculinity.
Yeah.
Moving beyond those traditional stereotypes.
There's so much more to it than that.
Exactly. One way to look at it is through archetypes like the king, warrior, magician, lover.
Okay.
You, with your Gemini sun and Cancer rising, you probably resonate with aspects of the lover archetype through your Cancerian empathy, but also you connect with the magician, that Gemini intellect, the way you communicate and connect ideas.
It's a really powerful combination. The sources even used a variety of keywords like gents, lads, boys, dudes, brothers, males, men, sons, fathers, grandpas.
To emphasize that this combination can manifest at any stage of a man's life.
And to show that masculinity isn't just one thing. Those qualities of empathy, communication, emotional intelligence, those are all part of it.
Absolutely.
And especially with this combination, you have the potential to really challenge those old stereotypes, to embrace your full self.
Whether you're a young guy just starting out or a grandfather offering wisdom and support, you bring something special to the table.
You can be the brother who tells a joke to lighten the mood and then offers a shoulder to cry on when things get tough.
Exactly.
This combination really has the potential to build strong relationships, to bring more emotional awareness to masculinity in general.
It does. By embracing both sides of your nature, you become a role model for a more authentic way of being a man.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways for our listeners with this Gemini Sun Cancer Rising combo as they move through 2025?
It's all about appreciating that dynamic interplay between your intellect and your emotions, between your communication skills and your ability to nurture. 2025 brings amazing opportunities for growth in your career, your sense of self, your beliefs, even your finances.
Right.
That balancing act between your need for freedom and your need for security, That will probably be an ongoing theme.
But ultimately, it's about embracing both sides.
That's where your true strength lies.
It sounds like 2025 is a year for you to really define what masculinity means to you and to create a journey that honors your whole self.
Precisely.
That journey illuminated by cosmic clarity.
May it be so. ASTRALX outro. From the vast cosmic tapestry, may your intuition guide you. Embrace those celestial currents with wisdom and courage. Journey deeper into your astrological blueprint and unlock the potential within you. Explore personalized cosmic readings and exclusive content carefully designed to illuminate your unique path. Visit the link in the description to begin your celestial self-discovery.